Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Jay from IELTS Daily, the best place for you to practice your IELTS every day. Today we're going to be looking at a question from the IELTS speaking exam. So let's get started, okay? So in today's video, we're going to be looking at a question from part 2 of the IELTS speaking exam. And helping me out today is my friend Chris. Chris, how are you?
Hello, I'm very well. I'm going to send a question as usual to your iPad, and I'm afraid this question, I'm sorry, it's not very exciting. It's actually really boring because the question is on the screen now and you can see that it says, describe a time when you were bored. You should say where you were, who you were with, what you were doing at the time, and explain why you were bored. This is a recent question from the IELTS test. Students have had this quite recently, so make sure that you are prepared in the test. We want to hear what your thoughts are, Jay. Your minute to prepare starts now.
Well, in other situations, I would say that this question would be a really difficult question, but considering the circumstances that we're experiencing right now, I think I might be able to answer this one. So right now we're all isolated, we're all sitting at home and stuck in our houses, and so I think I should be able to answer this. So I'm at home during this time that I was bored because of the COVID situation. I was with my wife and watching TV. And why was I bored? Because I was stuck in the house. So we'll see how I go answering this one. Yeah, it seems relevant to the times that we're experiencing.
1 minute
right
finishes. Okay. So in the test, you're going to speak for over 1 minute, less than 2 minutes. I'm going to write down all the wonderful language that you're using, and your time starts now.
All right, so a time I was bored, I'm going to just say probably in the last week, a couple days ago. Right now we're experiencing the COVID-19 situation worldwide, where lots of us are being told to be isolated in our homes. So we can't really go out to do some of the things that we did before this happened. And being self-isolated, being stuck in the house, can be a pretty boring experience. So it just kind of hit me a couple of days ago. I was at home with my wife and we were just watching TV, and you can only watch so much TV before you start to get kind of sick of it or tired of it. And just sitting on the couch watching TV was really boring. We tried to actually what happened was we turned off the TV and we decided to play a board game. So we got a board game out, and that just kind of broke up the monotonous or the monotony of sitting in the house doing nothing. So we ended up getting out the board game Cluedo. I don't know if anyone knows about Cluedo, but it's a famous board game where you have to solve a murder mystery. And just changing things up a little bit and doing something different from sitting on the couch and watching TV helped kind of alleviate or reduce that boredom. So it ended up being an okay couple hours while we were doing that. So it turned into a good day for me.
Super. That was 1 minute and 34. I enjoyed this. Let's first talk about the difference between bored, boring, and boredom. Could you explain that to the students?
So bored would be an adjective to describe how a person is feeling, right? So I am bored, meaning that there's nothing for me to do. I'm just kind of sitting there feeling blah. Boring would usually be an adjective to describe something or a situation. So this class is boring, or this book is boring, or this movie is boring.
This class is not boring.
Sorry, I was just using, I'm a teacher, and sometimes I just make that joke about my own classes. And then boredom would be the noun, so it's the state of being bored. So you would just say that a very common metaphor is it, or maybe it's an idiom. People say they're dying of boredom, all right, and it's a bit of an embellishment or an exaggeration there, but just means you're just super bored.
Fantastic. So you talked about in the last week, great, and you said COVID-19. I think using situations and experiences from your life is really, really useful. Lots of people around the world will have the same problem.
Yeah.
You talked about isolation, being isolated. You said stuck in the house. Where does that come from?
Where does it come from?
Yeah, which verb? Stuck.
Oh.
To be stuck. Stick?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
It doesn't mean anything.
But it doesn't mean anything unless you add that bit in with the house.
So to be stuck in the house, what does that mean?
You are forced to stay or remain in a location.
Exactly.
So you can be stuck in the house. You can be stuck in an elevator.
Yeah.
You know, there's many
In traffic?
stuck in traffic.
Good.
Yeah.
Pretty boring experience. So it comes from the word pretty. Your pronunciation of pretty is pretty.
Pretty.
Yeah, so you have a d sound, don't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
So pretty boring. How would you use the word pretty?
Pretty is kind of like I believe it's a quantifier. Yeah, it's a quantifier that just tries to explain how boring something is. So if I just say something is boring, okay, then it's boring. But if I say it's pretty boring, or if it's very boring, or if it's extremely boring, then the person who's listening to me knows that it's a higher level of boredom or boring.
Quite boring, yeah?
Yeah, quite boring.
Now, the next board is not the board of boring. It's actually the board game. How do you use the word board in this case?
So in this case, board game refers to literally a board that you set on a table, and it usually has little path on it, or it has spaces on the board where you would put little pieces that you control that you need to move to advance along the board to finish the game.
Excellent. You said it broke up the day. Yeah, broke up the monotony. What does broke up the day mean?
Broke up.
Puts it into pieces and makes...
Yeah, well, that's a good question.
It breaks the boredom, right?
Yeah, it puts a stop to the boredom, number one, but it also adds a little bit of variety to what was happening previously. So if we want to use that phrasal verb to break something up, you can use that to describe something that you were doing and you didn't want to do it anymore, so you broke it up by doing something else.
Exactly. And then you used a really good filler phrase, which was, I don't know if anybody knows about. I don't know if anyone knows about. And you can use that in the test by saying, I don't know if you know about. If you want to say to the examiner, I really like that. Sitting on the couch. Couch, can you think of any other synonyms, words which mean the same?
Sofa, lounge.
Good, yep.
Yep.
And alleviate. Alleviate the boredom. Tricky word.
Yeah.
See if you can...
Reduce the boredom.
Exactly.
Try to lower the amount of boredom that you're experiencing.
Well, I don't know if any of the students found that interesting, but I certainly did. I thought it was super interesting. Thanks very much. That's all from me.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everyone, for watching, and I hope you learned something. We'll see you next time. See you later.